You asked for it, Lewis. You're gonna get it. With everything that's been going on this year already in the gaming industry, I just want to really add this in at the start of this episode 4 of the LOD Xtra, that I don't, it's not right to target or to blame or to belittle or to attack developers or individual people online, because 9 times out of 10, it's not their fault. It's per management or executives pushing for something or chasing a craze. There's even more reasons than that for something to fail and for people to lose their jobs. And right now, it's the industry and the developers in it right now are not having a really good time. I'm sure they're all terrified and really concerned for their jobs and stuff like that. And this episode is by no means adding fuel to the fire. This is just a fan's response to something regarding a particular game, not a reflection of my views on the entire industry, the absolute fire that it's all in right now. I'm your host, Tirus. Welcome to episode 4 of the LOD Perspective, and it's this week's episode, I think it's going to be called Lewis Got What He Wanted. So, as a lot of you know, I am a Battlefield nut. Now, some people may say recently that hasn't been the case, but like most fans, I just want the best from my favourite franchise. And I know, obviously, I say other things are my favourite. This is my favourite. But Battlefield, for me, is quite simply probably the most played franchise by me that there is. But the last few games have been wishy-washy with poor decisions, not listening to fans, aiming at different groups of people, not necessarily that aren't necessarily even interested in your game, and ignoring the fans that arguably are the reason you still have a game in the first place. So, the niceties out of the way, I think I've held back a bit long enough. What the absolute hell is going on at EA right now? 1 minute they are supporting Battlefield. There's like 3 different studios working on different aspects of the game. There's a supposedly free-to-play mode in development for the game, akin to Firestorm, I believe I was told. Although I could be totally wrong. A studio where, forgive me, I forget his first name, Leto, worked. I believe he was one of the co-creators of Halo, the Master Chief, you name it. So I didn't have sky-high expectations, but I had hope that if anybody was going to make a decent story out of a Battlefield campaign, then it was going to be him. And obviously, you would have a progressive story, like with every game, and it being continued and stuff like that, which I hope was the point, because was being the appropriate term, as that studio was now gone. Leto left about a week ago, I believe, as the point of recording this. He could have left before that. He could not have left at all yet, but I believe I read that he is moving on. And obviously when EA announced all the layoff stuff and cancellations and closures and stuff, the studio, which was responsible for Battlefield's story, is now no more. Some of them are being transferred to Ripple Effect, I believe, but I can't imagine that's everybody. So again, it's not good news when people lose their jobs, despite how a fan might feel about a franchise or a particular game. It's not a good feeling losing their job. I've been through it myself. The fear of losing your job pushed me out of podcasting for a long while there. It was one of the reasons I just couldn't do it anymore. I had like far bigger things to worry about and concern myself with, you know, so I understand completely what that feeling is like, and I'm sure a lot of devs are, you know, really stressed and anxious and dreading their emails and stuff. But back to the games, they really needed a win, in my opinion. Like, the next Battlefield needed to be something good, and when I say needed to be, I'm starting to think that it's not gonna be. Obviously, they've never been good at communicating, so you really don't know how this has affected the next Battlefield game. Does this mean now that there's not going to be a campaign? Does this mean they're going to try a half-assed narrative like 2042? And if I annoy anybody that actually likes 2042, I'm not sorry. I don't. It was called a love letter to fans, and I think I have said this until I'm blue in the face. It must have been the Dear John letter, where they break up with the fans, throw a glass of water in their face, and throw the flowers that the fan has brought onto the floor. Because if that's a love letter, I would hate to see your breakup note. Absolute nonsense. Now, 2042, now, at this point in time, it's actually good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad and it's always going to be bad. It's actually good now. But there's a big but. A really big but. That it's took a couple of years now to get there. And some of the stuff that's being added now and praised by some of the... I really don't want to slabber about people, but drones in the community is stuff that's kind of similar to stuff that we already had that just wasn't in this one when it came out. I mean, when this game came out, the only thing that made it Battlefield was the fucking name on the case. It didn't feel like a Battlefield. It didn't feel like a sandbox. Because despite what Battlefield is for you, is for me, or is for anyone else, it's always been a sandbox. All those amazing cracker Battlefield moments that came from the community, it was because you were playing in one big sandbox. It wasn't scripted moments. It wasn't stuff added. Like, yes, Battlefield 4 had Levolution, which was scripted, which kind of got old within like 2 weeks. 4 is one of the GOATs in the series, especially seeing as I think I played it more than any of them. And even whenever I was displeased with any of the newer games for whatever reason, I would always default back to 4. So with all that said and done, even some of the DLCs later didn't really have an evolution to them in the same sense. I'm not saying there wasn't anything specific. There was a few good maps. I don't know, I'm sorry. Every time they go on about 2042 and they try and big up something that's coming for 2042, it's like, yay! No. Okay. No, it's just not doing it for me. Any hype or potential hype I had for it, they killed it themselves. Really. The sheer lack of content. I mean, before anybody starts the whole, oh, they reworked all the old maps. They fucking needed reworked. They were... I'm not going to say they were fucked, but they were fucked. You couldn't get from A to B. Like, there wasn't enough vehicles to go around. You know, the limit for how many vehicles could be in a map and so on and so forth. That's in every Battlefield game. Every Battlefield map has their limit and stuff. Yeah, you were just always dying. More so than you're supposed to. I know a first-person shooter is spawn, die, spawn, die, spawn, die. But way more than usual. If you got somebody that had a powerful vehicle, or they were good in a helicopter, or they were beast with a sniper, which, yeah, sometimes I died, I wasn't angry. It was like, you just get nailed from 500 meters away. It's like, all right, that was a shot. But the maps were not good. They were lifeless, they were empty. Some of them just didn't flow great, if that's a good term for it. And Lewis, I know you're watching this right now, probably thinking, Mark, why aren't you going absolutely psycho? My son is upstairs above me in his bedroom. I'm trying to keep it at a certain point. So, do I think this is absolute insanity what is happening to the franchise, and the new game's not even out yet, and already it looks like it's going to be a bloody dumpster fire? I really hope I'm wrong. I do. I really hope I'm wrong. I know I get really annoyed at times and say, I'm not buying the next one. I'm just ignoring it. Blah, 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 blah. Yet every time any new Battlefield information comes out, straight to the phone. I can't help it. Same with Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3 is not the best. It's a clear step down from Modern Warfare 2. And I do mean the remakes. I don't mean like the original trilogy. I mean the remakes. Modern Warfare 2 was. Modern Warfare 2019, good. Very good. Modern Warfare 2 for me was absolutely me full all in on COD again. And then Modern Warfare 3 came out and it's just Sledgehammer's little engine that couldn't. All over again. Every time Sledgehammer brings out a Call of Duty, it's like Treyarch's like up here, Infinity Wards. You don't know where they're gonna land, like, honestly. And then you have Sledgehammer. Yeah, so I really hope the next Battlefield finds its feet before anybody really gets to see it. The whole constant changing of direction, narrative, and rebalancing of the whole suite of guns. All that stuff needs to be decided before it even comes out. I mean, Battlefield 5 is a perfect example of how they basically gaslit the entire community. Before Christmas break, when no changes could be made after that, they fucked every gun. Well, practically every gun. Guns that were good before were absolutely useless now. Nobody knew what the blood to use. It was awful. And even when people started to go, oh, this gun's good now, this gun's good now, right, here's how you use this. Even when people were figuring that out, it was like, yeah, they fucked it. Sorry for all the swearing, but the guys usually love it when I just let rip. But yeah, DICE can be both an excellent developer and their worst nightmare. Even a day later. Poor decision making, which, again, like I said at the start of the video, I'm not talking about individual people. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to go and message anyone or flag them or anything like that. I'm talking about the studio as a whole, which the leadership is responsible for all the decisions and all that stuff, right? We clear? Good. Yeah, the leadership needs a shake. Ice cold water in the face. Wake up. Like, these are absolutely fisting your own brand. Whether you were there in the beginning or not, like the likes of Lars Gustafsson, people like that, whether you were there from the start or not, Battlefield has completely and utterly lost its image. Like, it's like it doesn't know what it's meant to be anymore, especially in an industry where every game has a pass of some sort, right? People used to complain about premium because it separated the community. Well, of course it fucking separated the community. There was the people that bothered to buy it and the people that didn't. Nothing to do with crossplay. Crossplay was unheard of until 2042. So nobody really has that as an excuse, but then there are ones that bring that up. What more should the, you know, it's hard to stand out in an industry where, obviously, like I said, everyone has a pass, everyone has a gimmick, everything has some way to get more money out of you. Now, before anybody starts the whole video game pricing, and the pricing hasn't overly changed all that much over the years, blah blah blah, that is true, but the quality sure as hell has. Some games look better but play worse. Helldivers 2, most recent example of getting the gameplay so spot on and the game looking good, not groundbreaking, but it looks good and it works. Gameplay is king. PUBG proved that. When PUBG came out, PUBG blew up. PUBG has never looked that impressive as a game, visually I mean, but the gameplay was phenomenal. I think the only game that came close to playing excellent and looking excellent was Fortnite, but then again, look at the kind of money Epic has to throw at that. I think that shouldn't be the baseline, because Arrowhead Studios, who made Helldivers 2, they're hardly going to have the money to compete like that. You know what I mean? Independent studio has their game has absolutely blown up. They got it right. They got the idea, decided what they wanted to do, seen what worked, stuck with what worked, and they made a hell of a game. Battlefield, DICE, they need to do the exact same thing. Now, that may be harder because they're not an independent studio with money, funding, and having all these execs which don't seem to have a bloody clue what they're doing, making their decisions for them. Now, I'm saying this with such push because me as the example again, anytime I've come close to losing my job, or in some cases years ago actually losing my job, it's never been the individual's fault, right? It's never been about the quality of the work. It's been about sheer mismanagement or over-promising and targets not being met and stuff that people shouldn't be doing. Like, clearly if a manager is aware of, like, say, the output of a factory, right, what that output could be if, say, there was another shift, or say there was regular overtime at the weekend, stuff like that, you roughly be able to tell what that's going to be. And yeah, sadly, in many cases, it's overpromised. And then orders go, money dries up, people lose their jobs, and I'm sure the gaming industry in a lot of ways is very, very similar in that regard. When the money dries up, you either finish the game quick as possible, or everybody loses their jobs. The whole studio could go. So yeah, DICE is probably between a rock and a hard place. No, sorry, rock, hard place, gaming community. So the community, the rock is obviously limitations, time, money, and the hard place is probably the executives. So I really hope that they can nail this next Battlefield, because I personally believe they have to. I mean, they don't have, there's no excuse this time. Yes, the argument that, sorry, my eyes annoy me. The argument that a studio is a revolving door. People coming, people going, people moving on, getting higher paid jobs in different places, progressing their own career, stuff like that. Like, that's life. It's, what is that term with the boat? If you change every part of the boat, is it still the same boat? You know what I mean? If you change every person in DICE, is it still DICE? Some people say yes. I would sort of say no. I think the DICE that we have right now, their first game was 2042, and the next game will probably make or break the studio. They might even lose control of the IP altogether, because right now Vince Sampel is basically in charge, and he's never had anything to do with DICE, which at the minute that looks to be a good thing, sadly. So we'll just have to wait and see what the heck's actually going on. But again, like I says, they're very bad at communicating, so we may never know. You know, what may be right now may not be by the time they reveal the game. Plans could change, they could rein in what they're trying to do. But the only things I know which I would put any sort of credence in the validity of them was that apparently they are looking to like revitalize destruction in the franchise, which I think is a long overdue. The first two games to even hit, the second and third game to ever hit consoles was the Bad Company series. One of their biggest selling points, aside from the humor, which was phenomenal, was destruction. And although destruction remained in Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, never, ever, ever to the same extent. I mean, I think the closest they came was 4 with Evolution and the Shanghai map with the building just collapses and stuff. It's the closest they ever got again. And even 2042, the destructibility is minimal. It's one of the reasons it doesn't feel like a Battlefield to me. They have supposedly, like this is all rumor, said that they are looking to, you know, revitalize the destruction, which I think is hopefully like a serious upgrade. I mean, the engine itself needs a serious upgrade because 2042, them saying that halfway through development they had to move to a newer version of Frostbite. Surely that could have been dealt with in a better way, like either not move on to the newer version or delay the game further. But you know, delays cost money. EA clearly doesn't know what to do, how to handle Battlefield at all. So yeah, even if they moved to the new engine and decided to give it more time, I doubt they would have got it, honestly. I really want to just pull my hair out at times. You know, you want the best for something and it just looks, from the outside looking at it, it just looks like it wants to implode. It's like it just wants to be something else. It's like all the old fans that arguably made it what it was, as successful as it was. I mean, developers create the game. It's their brainchild. It's their blood, sweat and tears and years of their life. But if a community doesn't form around this product, you don't have a product. You don't have a game, you don't have a franchise, you don't have a community. And the Battlefield community, sadly, is one of the most passionate but toxic communities in the world. The whole best community in the world stuff that used to be thrown around now is a distant memory. You have, at the best of times, two different types of fans. One wants one thing, one wants the other. No matter what DICE does with this next game, there will be a large portion of the fan base which will not like it. They will not want it. There's a lot of people even I know, that their first Battlefield was Battlefield 1. And the fact 5 wasn't like 1 in a lot of ways, they didn't like it automatically, just no. Even though 5 was, for me, a step in a right direction. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was definitely a step in a better direction. And yeah, it's the problem. The community is part of the problem because the community itself doesn't know what it wants as a whole. I mean, collectively, the community should just say, we just want a good game. We want a game that we can play for 3 or 4 years before the next one comes out, because it's not like Call of Duty. It's not like we can go, oh, this one's crap, sod it, I'll sell it, trade it in, or just get a refund for it and just wait for the next one. Can't really do that with Battlefield. It comes out every 3 to 4 years. This actually may be longer. I think the next one might be actually longer than 3 to 4. I think it might be 5. Oh, it depends, because we don't even have an official release date. I think there's like a release window from some investor call, but I don't really know what that is. I think we're going to cut it here. Sorry, not cut it. End this episode here, because it's been such a downer and a 20-something minute rant, toned down rant, that even if I talk about something else for another 20 minutes, it's not really going to pick up the mood of the episode, is it, guys? So thank you for taking the time out of your day. I really, really appreciate the support that Xtra is getting. It does get me down a lot that I work a shift permanently and I can't be on the main show with the guys anymore. That annoys the life out of me a lot, but still doing it, still trying to help. I love the fact that the guys support me with Xtra, and thank you all for taking the time out of your day, your evening, your drive, your walk home, like I do. That's where I listen to my podcasts, to take the time out to listen to me. Now, I've been your host, Tirus. This has been LOD Xtra, episode 4. Lewis got what he wanted. Have a great time, and I'll see you in the next one.